There is a bridge called Troy Bridge. Some of you might have heard about Troy Bridge. Yes, that they build the bridge, that the bridge built.
We're here at Troy Bridge, which, as you know, has been down for, I think, 2 years or thereabouts. And MP Michael Phillips has been a strong advocate for the reconstruction of a bridge because the residents on both sides of this river, it's Hector's River, are dependent on a bridge in order to go to school or indeed go to their workplaces. And what is there right now is a makeshift device made out of bamboo, fairly precarious, which only somebody courageous and agile would really venture across. But for elderly people and little children, it would be very dangerous for them to try it. And we have a makeshift pulley system to carry, physical items across. Obviously not of any great weight, but that is what the residents have had to, turn them hand and make fashion, so to speak, to try and survive this situation. So we've been tracking the issue. Michael has been advocating hard for it in Parliament and outside. And, he was just giving an update of the latest with the procurement issues. And apparently it's now at the stage where they're still trying to decide whether or not it's an emergency situation. But, it clearly is something which needs to be addressed very quickly because this is a vital route for the people living here in Northwest on the border with South Trelawney, is it? Yeah, South Trelawney. So this can't wait any longer. And I use this opportunity just to call on the government to prioritize this bridge and get it done. And we will be very happy to see the work start because it needs to happen without further delay.
And I like to say, I'm not going to think of it as something bad, but what has happened to us over the last 2 or 3 decades is that we have become tied down in bureaucracy. Everything that has to be done takes longer than it really should. It's frustrating. We have become a society where we don't trust ourselves. And so we have layered very thickly all kind of legislation, all kind of regulation, all kinds of steps. And you know what has happened? That has caused a great deal of frustration for the people. It takes long to get everything done in a Jamaica. It took us a decade to solve our economic problems. A decade to bring the debt from almost 150 to now 74% relative to GDP. At the end of this financial year, it will be below 70%. 10 years. During that 10 years, you had wage freeze, whole heap of wage freeze. So public sector workers' wages weren't going up. While inflation run well, the dollar slide bad. And during that period of time, they never have no money to spend on any hospital. They never had any money to fix any road. They never had any money to provide water in your pipe. Now, we fix the economy. I am not here telling you that we have a whole heap of money, but we are in a better position to plan for the things that you need. But you can understand that after 10 years of what they call austerity, meaning that the government hold the spending tight, yes, hold the money tight, and couldn't spend on the needs of the people. Austerity. During that period, while you were all under the hardship, you reached the point now where the thing rough. And then on top of that, you have COVID because of further rise in the prices in the supermarket. My God. No. And then after COVID, we are starting to feel the real impact of climate change. Almost every year in this government, we have had a natural disaster, a weather event, a major rain event, major landslide, flooding, and then we had Hurricane Beryl. So can you imagine 10 years of austerity, as you're coming out of it, bam, COVID, and then all the economic woes that caused, and then the climate issues. That is also impacting the infrastructure, not just your pocket and your household budget, but the condition of the roads. And after 10 years of not spending on the infrastructure, your infrastructure will deteriorate. So you now have what we call aged infrastructure. Old road, old bridge will collapse, road them a tear well. Long before me, them just up there. No, I want you to listen to me good. If we are to deal with these things quickly, to ease the burden off for you, then we have to deal with the bureaucracy. Because there is a bridge called Troy Bridge. Some of you might have heard about Troy Bridge. Yes, that they build the bridge built in it create a stronger economy for this parish. But how many of you tweet about it? How many of you put it on TikTok? How many of you forward it to your friend? That's the whole point. So if you live in a society like this, where it's only the negative that people celebrate, then you can imagine the doom and gloom that people will have. And that is why we have taken a deliberate decision that we are not going to join the army of naysayers and the purveyors of negative and doom and gloom. When you come to a Jamaica Labour Party meeting, you must leave feeling elevated. Not only with the dancing and antics of Floyd Green and Andrew Wheatley. And I don't mind being the girls and bubblegum.
Today, the community of Torrington Park in South St. Andrew was rocked when a section of the staircase of the government-owned high-rise residential buildings there collapsed, with one level of the staircase falling onto another level below. An individual, a lady who was on the staircase at the time, was injured, and the residents of 16 apartments that are served by the staircase are unable to access their homes. This dangerous incident could and should have been avoided. Since 2018, I have been calling attention to the deteriorating state of these buildings. I have repeatedly reached out to key officials in writing, including the former and current permanent secretaries in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, the former Minister for Housing, Pearnel Jr., in 2021, and Prime Minister Andrew Holness in 2022 and 2023. For nearly 5 years, there has been no effective action taken to ensure the necessary repairs were done, and that is in spite of meetings, inspections, and assurances that the repairs have been approved, only for the work to be deferred, with nothing done to address this avoidable risk. I share in the frustration, pain, and anger of the residents of these buildings in Torrington Park, who have endured years of neglect, living in unsafe conditions, with repeated promises from the relevant authorities, but no meaningful action. This is not just a structural failure, it is a failure of governance in our country. I call upon the government urgently to intervene, to provide immediate support to the injured resident and temporary accommodation for the stranded families, and to implement comprehensive repairs to rehabilitate these government-owned residential high-rise buildings in Torrington Park and similar buildings elsewhere in South St. Andrew which have similar problems, and indeed other parts of the country. Our residents cannot wait any longer for safe housing. I will continue to advocate relentlessly on behalf of my constituents, ensuring that their voices are heard and that their safety is prioritized.